Best greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Best greetings from the petri dish with honeybees. Yes, today we are observing honeybees. Today we will be talking about sociality of honeybees, about their life as a social insects. Because honeybees, they are collecting nectar, they are collecting pollen, they are collecting water and creating honey. And they are social insects. There are some different groups of insects which are social. But today we will be talking about social insects, honeybees. And we're observing them in petri dish because it's slightly difficult to observe them in observational hive. There are special equipments to do observations with honeybees effectively, creatively, and efficiently. For that you need to have beehive with special glass, and it's called observational hive. So you can observe how we are doing. But now we are sitting here, sorry about that, we are sitting in a petri dish for this video, for observations, for talking about their social behavior. Why social behavior is important for honeybees? Because honeybees, usually they do not survive for a long time if they are separated from each other. They are living in a colony, they are creating colony, they have different castes, different groups inside the one colony. And if you keep them just separately, one by one, or just even in a small group, they will not survive. Because they need whole colony, including workers and including queen and including drones in a special reproduction time. And you can observe the social behavior here when we are just sitting separately out of their beehive. Sorry that we are in petri dish, but I cannot show you them directly from beehive. Maybe one day I will have observational hive. I can show you how we are doing and what we are doing in observational hive. But here we are feeding on honey on these small filter papers. Yes, these are honeybees. And today we have stream directly, not from beehive, but directly from small part of a beehive, from petri dish with honeybees. Apis mellifera. Definitely this is not Apis dorsata, huge one. Maybe if someone from India can watch us, can create video with Apis dorsata in petri dish. It will be great fun. But I can show you just different insects, small one, big one. And today I have opportunity to show you honeybees because they are so lovely, because they are so cute. And definitely not everyone just watch them on a close distance, just near your nose, because most of people are afraid of honeybees. Because they are stinging, and definitely it's a little bit dangerous. But they are creating absolutely fantastic, amazing behavior. And even just watching for them inside closed dish, inside closed petri dish, you can observe very interesting behavior. For example, we can feed for beginning, and when we can exchange by the food, we can exchange by the sugar liquid. So this process is called trophallaxis. If someone had a lack of food, other honeybee will give honey to another one. So this process is called trophallaxis, exchange by food, exchange by nectar, sugar, or honey. Honey taste is, of course, can be different because honeybee is collecting honey, creating honey from nectar from different flowers. So if flowers will have one smell, honey will have one smell. If flowers are absolutely different, with special smell, with special chemicals, minerals inside nectar, smell, consistency, and quality of honey will be totally different. But it doesn't concern faked honey. honey from sugar liquid. Because now many people are making fake honey, not real one, but just feeding honeybees with water with sugar, not with honey. Some not very creative businessmen are trying to get more money to create fake honey and sell it for a better price. I don't tell you from what countries they are coming from. Ukrainian honeybees are collecting very good honey, and Ukrainian beekeepers are proud to produce high quality honey, which is exported out of Ukraine even in this difficult military time. There are some beekeepers who love their work, who love their honeybees. They produce a lot of honeybees produce honey, and they produce products. They sell honeybees honey to Europe and other countries, even to America, to Japan, to some other countries, to Arabic countries in Arabic Peninsula. And all it's depending up to our Ukrainian honeybees. Ukrainian steppe honeybee, Ukrainian Carpathian honeybee, and some other races which are artificially introduced to Ukraine. Because some not very creative beekeepers are trying to produce more honey, are trying to produce more queens of unknown or well-known races, which costs better price. So it's more profitable to breed honeybees, not for honey, but just to produce queens. Queen breeding is very popular in Ukraine, especially in Carpathian region, and in other regions as well. In center part of Ukraine, queen breeding is popular, and breeders are selling honeybee queens for good price, for local price for sure. But they are buying sometimes very expensive queens outside of Ukraine, from Germany, from Poland, from other countries in Europe, and just importing them in Ukraine illegally, because there is no competition, real competition and real control about it. But some Ukrainian beekeepers are very proud to produce local races of Ukrainian honeybees. Steppe honeybee, steppe Ukrainian honeybee, and Carpathian honeybee. I'm not involved personally in breeding, but I know that breeding is the most profitable part of beekeeping in Ukraine, because you don't need to produce hundreds of kilos, hundreds of liters of honey. You need to produce just hundreds of queens and sell them for better price. So you can see here just some workers who are little bit fighting for food, for honey on this filter paper. Not fighting, they're just active because they came here to the room from outside. But today outside was little bit sunny, but then it was very cloudy. And here we're already in warm room, and so they became very active. More active than they were before. Outside street, it's now maybe +8, +10 Celsius degree, pretty cold and cloudy and even raining. But we are happy to be at least to spend this piece of time at least here inside petri dish with honey. Of course we are not very happy because we are captured, captivated. But honey is the most valuable for them. And some people who have never seen honeybees at close distance can be surprised to watch them very closely. I wanted to tell you to discuss a little bit about sociality of honeybees and other insects. Sometimes honeybee colonies called as a superorganism, social insects, are basically very large families, very large colonies. Sometimes we can call about honeybee colony as a superorganism. Honeybees are totally social creatures. Individuals of honeybees cannot survive alone. And also, queen of honeybee needs a minimum at least several hundred workers in order to ensure her survival. With several workers, she will not survive usually. It will be super small colony and queen will not survive. Individual honeybees are inseparably united by behavior and their chemistry. Honeybees represent a highly involved society among insects. The most complex social organization of insects is called as eusocial, or it's called truly social. Honeybees, bumblebees, stingless bees, yellow jackets, wasps, hornets, paper wasps, also ants, and termites are eusocial insects. Eusocial insects is housed in three common characteristics. This is a cooperative care of young, larvae, and a young brood. Then second, this is a reproductive division of labor, presentation of caste systems, an overlap of generations capable of caring for young. So all these features are very important for eusocial insects, truly social. But actually many insects are gathering together in some groups. For example, males and females were just gathered together to mate. Some individuals of same species can congregate in a common food or nesting site. But such gatherings of solitary bees, for instance, are called aggregations. Aggregation is just a group of individuals, more than one just a reproductive pair, gathered in one same place. But they do not construct nests, they do not rear offspring or in their special cooperative manner like honeybees. Aggregations occur in mating insects, for example in dancing flies, aggregation for hibernation like ladybirds, other beetles, for defense like sawflies, larvae, aggregations at food sites like milkwood bugs, fig wasps and others, and aggregations just temporarily social interactions. But honeybees, they have eusocial behavior. They're truly social insects. What means parental care, for instance, for insects? Parental care, it means when some females insects extend care for their eggs or immature larvae and pupae. This occurs in some plants feeding hymenopterans, like sawflies as well. Сегодня мы наблюдаем за нашими домашними медоносными пчелами. Они, конечно, не домашние, потому что они просто медоносные пчелы. И они даже не медоносные, они нектароносные пчелы. Потому что пчелы носят не мед, пчелы носят нектар, который перерабатывают в мед. Здесь они находятся в чашечке Петри. Пардон. В замкнутой чашечке Петри, потому что показать их внутри улья довольно сложно. Для этого нужно иметь наблюдательный улей, закрытый стеклом, что достаточно сложновато. Требует больших усилий по поддержанию жизни наблюдательного улья и установке такого оборудования в удобном месте. А за поведением, социальным поведением медоносных пчел можно наблюдать даже в чашечке Петри, в маленьком замкнутом пространстве, где они будут проявлять свое разное поведение. Если им дать немножко пищи, а именно сладкого сиропа или раствора меда, как сейчас они кушают мед в фильтровальной бумажке, они будут кушать медок. Если будет кому-то не доставаться, медоносные пчелы обмениваются друг с другом раствором нектара, сладкой воды. Этот процесс называется трофалаксис. Также будут обмениваться пищей и другие социальные насекомые. Сейчас мы покажем, как это происходит на другой чашечке Петри, где немножко меньше медку, меньше пчелок, но зато они обмениваются и общаются друг с другом. Вот сидят две пчелки, которые теребят друг друга передними лапками. И одна пчелка обменивается с другой сладким сиропом. У одной больше сладкого сиропа, у другой меньше, и они могут вполне обменяться, покормить друг друга сладким сиропом. В этом проявляется их общественное поведение. Медоносные пчелы являются эусоциальными насекомыми, общественными. Кроме того, есть одиночные пчелы, которые не образуют социальных колоний или пчелосемей. А медоносные пчелы живут колониями, пчелосемьями, у которых есть разделение на расы, у которых имеются три основные особенности. Это забота взрослых особей о их подрастающем молоде, именно забота о воспитании молоди, которая рождается из яиц, развивается в личинок, куколок и вылупляющихся молодых пчелах. Имеются в общественной колонии у социальных насекомых имеется разделение на касты, разделение на репродуктивное разделение, на рабочих особей, на репродуктивных особей, а именно имеются королевы или матки, имеются рабочие особи, мы наблюдаем рабочих особей. И также третья особенность для общественных насекомых является наличие такой пересекающихся поколений друг с другом, которые заботятся о подрастающих поколениях. Появляется одно поколение, которое начинает заботиться сразу о младшем поколении. Таким образом, одно поколение обменивается с другим пищей, поведенческими особенностями и поддерживает колонию, жизнеспособность всей колонии одновременно. Сейчас мы наблюдаем, как они, медоносные пчелы, питаются сладким нектаром, а именно сладким медом, растворенным в водичке, сиропчиком, и принесенные с холодного улицы, на которые плюс 8, плюс 10 градусов, конечно же, более активны, могут себе позволить более активно бегать и активно питаться. Потому что 8-10 градусов на улице еще прохладновато. Но сегодня, хоть и было 10 градусов, время от времени выглядывало солнышко на пасеке. Поэтому пчелы вылетали или активно летали за нектаром. Ну, средне активно летали за нектаром. Еще сегодня был пасмурный день. вчера был более солнечный день. Перед дождем они все равно вылетали, даже собирали пыльцу, которую немножко можно было собрать в пыльцесборнике. Все зависит от пыльцесборника. Не всегда им удавалось пролезть в пыльцесборник и потерять пыльцу. Было достаточно прохладновато. И отверстия в пыльцесборнике были очень маленькие. И что не нравилось, конечно же, пчелам. Потому что когда в пыльцесборник залезает медоносная пчела, она залезает в узкое отверстие в литка, загороженный пыльцесборником, и теряет свою принесенную пыльцу. Теряет. Иногда теряет просто даже не в пыльцесборник, а рядом при подлете к литку улья. Кроме разделения на касты и на разделение на репродуктивные особи, а именно на королев, королеву или матку, трутней и рабочих особей, которые не являются репродуктивными, могут стать в случае гибели матки. Некоторые особи могут стать трутовками, которые будут производить неоплодотворенные яйца, которые даст рождение только трутням. А репродуктивные особи, это королева, трутни, необходимы для продолжения жизни самой колонии. Сама королева с своими же трутнями не спаривается, она находится в колонии, в гнезде, уже оплодотворенная. После спаривания с конгрегацией трутней весной она возвращается в улей, а новые трутни вылетающие, они вылетают и оплодотворяют обычно других молодых самок из других ульев. Когда собираются большие конгрегации, группы, и выискивают вылетающих молодых маток в местах конгрегации трутни. Матка-королева откладывает яйца очень активно в период ее активной жизнедеятельности до 1500-2000 яиц в день. Поэтому она обычно имеет крупное брюшко. Не сейчас, наверное, сейчас гораздо поменьше. Но уже все равно сейчас с потеплением начали королевы матки откладывать яйца. Уже появился расплод первый, потому что теплая весна. Раньше, 10 лет назад, был мороз и снег лежал в конце марта, а сейчас зеленая трава. И уже зацветает в городе, в пригороде абрикос. И цветет верба. Будучи принесенными здесь, пчелы тоже показывали интересное свое поведение. Некоторые сразу набрасывались на фильтровалку с медом на питание, а некоторые очень активно себя вели и предупредительные сигналы посылали друг другу в виде такой активного жужжания. Были такими сигнальщиками. В каждой из чашечек Петри была по одной сигнальщице, которые активно жужжали крылышками, вибрировали и показывали, что же происходит, как же выбраться из этого чашки Петри. Оповещали друг друга. Вот видим, что питаются и обмениваются одновременно пищей через хоботок. Ротовые органы, предназначенные для сбора нектара, сбора водички, обмена пищей. Как общественные насекомые, медоносные пчелы выполняют в процессе своей жизнедеятельности различные функции, у них имеются различные профессии. По мере развития, по мере вылупления молодой пчелы, она выполняет несколько функций. в гнезде она становится после вылупления уборщицей сначала, прибирает за гнездо, становится такой нянькой, ухаживает за личинками, отложенными яйцами, куколками, кормит их, находится в гнезде. Также в гнезде находятся другие профессиональные пчелы, которые выполняют функции стражей. Они находятся около литка. Стражи охраняют гнездо, нервно жужжат обычно, активно вылетают, нападают на беспокоящих. Это их функции стражей, защитников. Часть пчел вентилирует гнездо активно, особенно летом, удаляет излишки влаги. Часть пчел вылетает наконец-то за нектаром и за пыльцой, являются сборщиками, а часть являются разведчиками, которые в поиске или мест питания ищут и оповещают других пчел путем своего танца. А также пчелы-разведчицы специально вылетают в поисках нового гнезда в случае роения. Они разлетаются в разные места и ищут подходящее место обитания для новой колонии. Имеются также пчелки, называемые водоноски, которые активно вылетают из гнезда именно как раз на кормушечку с водой и будут приносить воду, которая необходима для того, чтобы смешать ферментированную пыльцу с водичкой и покормить личинок кормом. И здесь мы наблюдаем, как они активно работают своими хоботками, сложно устроенными для сбора сладкого раствора меда. We're just observing now here how our honeybees are just feeding on honey liquid. Today it was a pretty good day, little bit sunshine, but little bit cloudy. But nevertheless, despite cold temperature, plus 10 Celsius degree, honeybees were flying around apiary and we were foraging pollen, we were foraging maybe nectar as well, but pollen especially from willow trees. So quite many worker honeybees were coming back to their beehives with pollen. Even in this time, beekeepers just start to collect pollen from their beehives, because pollen is very good product which is produced by honeybees. Very tasty, especially fresh pollen. If you can taste fresh pollen from apiary after collecting, it's absolutely amazing candy. It's much better than candy, much better than chocolate. Sweet, with very special soft taste. And very healthy beekeeping product. Honeybee pollen, freshly collected. Later, honeybee pollen is dried and features will be not so visible, not so good as it tastes. The best honeybee pollen is freshly collected. Today honeybees were collecting also water on water feeders. And you observe here how honeybee is using their mouth parts called proboscis. We use proboscis to collect sweet liquid from filter paper. Proboscis, this is the organ for feeding. This is tiny tongue between the mandibles on the head of honeybees. Maybe observation for honeybees is not so unique for qualified and experienced beekeepers, but I'm quite sure that for ordinary people, for young children, for kids, and even for ordinary people who never visited apiary, many people have not seen honeybees at close distance near their nose, like here. You can lay on your bed, you can scroll your smartphone, you can observe some funny movies, some shorts, and you can watch some interesting translation, like here translation from petri dish with honeybees. And it's very safety, because we are not stinging you. You can observe directly from beehive. That's not from beehive. This is from artificial petri dish. But nevertheless, I guess for some people it's quite interesting, especially when honeybees exchanging by their food using their proboscis, like now. You see here one honeybee want to give food to another one, or just want to exchange by food. I have one piece of paper with fresh water. Can try to give it. Carefully preventing the escape, because they already sinking all the liquid. I need to give them fresh one. Yes, they became slightly nervous because I opened container, so that's why they became nervous. You see here, they're moving their wings very actively, like this one. Some you cannot observe even wings. Wings are moving very quickly. Yes. Three workers became nervous, showing maybe someone knows how to escape from here. You see here, making noise and making buzzing. Я добавил фильтровальку с раствором меда, однако они уже покушали хорошо, почувствовали свежий воздух, чашки ветра и сразу же активно завентилировали крылышками, зажужжали. 3 особи активно жужжат. Не просто вентилируют, а передают сигнал друг другу. Как рабочие особи, так и, конечно же, репродуктивные особи обмениваются феромонами. В случае ужаления, например, выделяется феромон опасности, привлекающий других пчел для того, чтобы опасность недруг внедрился в колонию, нужно снова ужалить его. А здесь возможно передача сигнала. Кто знает, как выбраться из чашки Петри? Обменяйтесь срочной информацией. Для этого можно пожужжать и обменяться информацией постукиванием антенны для усиков. А также явно выделяются феромоны, потому что рабочие особи, мы видим здесь, очень сильно выставили задние кончик брюшка. На кончике брюшка находятся железы, которые выделяют феромон. Вот мы видим, что брюшко, кроме того, что оно, может быть, покушало, а именно выделилось кончик брюшка очень активно. Вот кончик брюшка. I'm just talking that this bee is buzzing and very nervous, and I guess producing some pheromones. Pheromones of defense, maybe, which is very important for the self-defense colony, for self-defense of honeybees. And she's just extended her abdomen, her belly. Upper tergites became very large. So because here there are some glands which produce pheromones. Maybe now we produce pheromone of defense, not only buzzing. And this is exchange by information between honeybees, between workers, and after receiving some signals from queen as well, but here no queen. So here we're exchanging information between themselves. Slightly difficult to observe now because humidity increased inside. But we're still busy because honey is honey. Honey is very attractive. Better to feed honey rather than making buzz. If you're not beekeeper, you can write in comments. Have you ever seen honeybees queen? Have you seen honeybees drone? Maybe you never seen queen or drone because it needs to come to beehive, to honeybee colony to watch it, to be professional or amateur beekeeper. Because all honeybees which are flying around flowers, they are just workers. They're foragers. They're collecting nectar, they're collecting pollen. And drones and queen just sitting inside colony, inside beehive or just natural honeybee nest somewhere in hollow tree. You see, we exchange information by the antennae. You see, we're moving antennae, and antennae is a very important organ for communication between insects, especially for honeybees as social insects. You know, this is a buzzing bee. Видите, насколько вытянут последние членики брюшка, на которых находятся железы, которые выделяют феромон опасности. И пчелка жужжит, передает сигнал опасности. Свои здесь микроколонии. Вот здесь обмениваются пищей друг с другом. Даже когда одна кверх ногами находится, обмениваются пищей. Надо слезать последние капельки. Но сейчас мы им дадим большую фильтровальную кусочек, чтобы они покушали. Вот, будут сразу более активны. If you are not beekeeper, just write in comments. Do you like honeybees? Do you like honey? Yeah, this is process of trophallaxis, exchange by food. If you are watching us from different countries, write in comments briefly what country are you watching us. If you are not from Northern Territories, and if you are not afraid to write what is your home country, what is your country where I just now. Quite interesting to know who is watching us. It's end of weekend, not many visitors by the way. Maybe many people just already relaxed after weekend. But I'm pleased to show you some honeybees here. We're feeding on honey solution in this petri dish. We're already well fed, so that's why we are just crawling in a warm room. So we're becoming more active and petri dish becoming a little bit wet. I guess maybe many people are just from Northern Territories, not only from Ukraine. YouTube is showing usually for local audience. And this video is from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. And honeybees just were living in beehive near Kyiv, in 30 kilometers near Kyiv. This is translation about Ukrainian honeybees. Oh, thank you for smiles. If you are visiting us for the first time, write comments and press likes and subscribe to the channel. New subscribers who enjoy nature, who enjoy insects are welcome. You can find more videos on my channel about entomology, science about insects, more insects in different video stories. I cannot even count how many of them. But if you are interested in insects, if you are curious in insects, in their behavior, you can find it appropriate video for you about bees, wasps, beetles, moths, butterflies, about breeding, about observations on flowers, and also about insects collections. But also I like to show you living insects in artificial conditions or just in semi-artificial conditions. And because it's interesting, it's entertaining, and it's surprising in many cases. Because now we can show you video under the large magnification. And directly just online. Because this is online stream from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. In May, June, I will try to show you some drones. Very, very funny, very interesting, very surprising shape. But sometimes it's difficult to show drones because they're very sensitive. It's difficult to bring them to a laboratory safely because they can be easily damaged and can die quickly in laboratory. But it's possible to show them just near the entrance to beehive. When drones are coming to hatch in beehive, you can always find them because they are crowding around entrance of beehive and they are very different from honeybee workers. So hope to show you drones in May and in June. Today I took some short videos near entrances of beehives, and even one honeybee stung me in hand because they were a little bit aggressive. Despite a relatively cool temperature, cool weather today, and cloudy. But maybe this was the reason, because we were trying to fly away for foraging some pollen, but someone just closed the entrance with pollen collector, so I didn't like pollen collector. I will upload new videos today or tomorrow from apiary about Ukrainian beehives and Ukrainian honeybees, originally in apiary. So you just check other videos from my channel. Welcome new visitors to our channel. We are observing just behavior of feeding on honeybee liquid. These are honeybees and we are feeding on honey on filter paper. This video is just online directly from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. Outside it's cold and raining, +8 Celsius degree. And we are observing our Ukrainian honeybees in petri dish to show you them at close distance, to show you their behavior and their structure, their morphology, for people who are not so familiar with honeybees. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you are visiting us first time. Welcome to subscribe. Welcome to press like and smiles. Welcome to become sponsors of my channel. Sponsors are greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for our sponsors. You can use Patreon page if you are in other country, or you can use Monobank page for donations to support our channel, to support equipment. You can see some details of Monobank in description of this video. Under this video there are some numbers of Monobank. Your kind support is greatly appreciated. If you are just in Ukraine, if you have, or you're outside of Ukraine, in Europe or somewhere, but you can use Monobank. It's 5 seconds and your sponsorship is coming. Thank you very much for our sponsors. Подписывайтесь на канал, если вы впервые в нашем канале, посвященном энтомологии, науке о насекомых. Если вы имеете монобанку, можете быть спонсором на Монобанке. Детали Монобанка указаны под этим видео. Спонсорство приветствуется. Очень благодарны за вашу поддержку. Номер на Монобанке указан в описании этого видео. Just honeybee, just cleaning, grooming. Her proboscis, very tiny tongue. Proboscis between mandibles. It's very important to make grooming or cleaning. Body, hairs, wings, legs, antennae, head. Grooming or cleaning the body is very important behavior for all insects, especially for honeybees. Because communication between honeybees is essential for their survival, for their life, for exchange of information as social insects. I can try to show you another petri dish. I can try to open petri dish. For a short time. I'm just showing you without lid, with open petri dish. For better quality of video. No, I closed the lid. We're not very hungry, already well fed with honey. Thank you for your interest and curiosity. We're observing honeybees. We're feeding on honey liquid on this filter paper. Sorry, but we're inside petri dish for the safety. Okay. Hello Javad, best greetings. Hello Pavel, best greetings. Best greetings to Poland and best greetings to maybe some other country somewhere. Javad, what country are you coming from? Finally, some beekeepers came to our channel. Yes, I understand, Javad. Today we visited apiary, so that's why I'm showing you some bees from beehive, but not in beehive, but just feeding on filter paper with honey. That's great, Javad. Study of genetics is very important, and some Ukrainian scientists and commercial beekeepers are very famous in breeding some races of Ukrainian honeybees, like steppe race, steppe breed, and Carpathian breed, from South Ukraine and from western part of Ukraine, Carpathian region, from mountains, and steppe region from steppe flattened places in South Ukraine. Despite all circumstances now in Ukraine, some beekeepers are hope to produce honey, to collect honey from the large honeybees in this new season. So we're very hope for developing of the honeybee colonies in this new coming season. See, Javad, understand. Maybe this picture of honeybee is not very surprising for professional and amateur beekeepers who are familiar in honeybees, but it should be quite interesting for amateurs who never seen honeybees in a close distance. Javad, what do you mean about question about casualties? Ukraine now in very difficult situations, and a lot of people have some casualties. During the previous year and this year as well, because we are not in a peaceful situation now. Ukrainian people are trying to be happy, but still many unhappy circumstances around. So at least we are scientists trying to be happy about our science, study science, which gives us a little bit out of all tragic circumstances around. Very interesting question from Pavel about different species of solitary bees, about Megachilidae, mason bees and leaf-cutting bees. Very, very important Megachilidae bees as Megachila genus leaf-cutting bees. Some of them they can inhabit cavities in soil, but some making nests also in empty tubes, in stems, because Osmia were collecting dust or soil for separation of cells, but leaf-cutting bees were collecting small pieces of leaves, round leaves and elongated oval pieces of leaves, and they cover the cells with leaves. And also I produced one video recently about very small bees which are living in some tubes in stems, or like very narrow stems like straw with 3 millimeters diameter. You can check, I showed Militobia and also showed some collectors. If they are collectors, I'm not sure. Maybe this is a species of some Megachilidae bees. I will identify, I took some photos of them, and so I can write correctly the name, which I got just recently from Ukraine, from my friends in Lviv. Just check recent videos about Militobia and about solitary bees. I showed two tubes, quite interesting one. In one tube I had larval and pupal parasitoid of solitary bees, Melitobia casta, tiny parasitoid 1 mm size. And in second tube I showed several males of these solitary bees. We have very short diameter of body, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters. Okay, twice smaller than Osmia. Initially, several males emerged as usual for solitary bees, and later I collected several females. I already spread them for collection, so I will show you these species later in separate video as a small review about some solitary bees which are naturally inhabiting some hollow stems. Not artificially breeding, but this is a natural breeding. And these tiny solitary bees were, I guess, half the size of honeybee in length, and maybe 6 times in volume, smaller than honeybee. And of course we are not stinging, because these solitary bees were very small. They can sting a little bit, but stung not so sensitive. They stung me a little bit. And that's why megachilidae bees, solitary bees, are very convenient for breeding. They can sting, but it's not very painful. Not painful at all. So that's why Pavel's idea of breeding different species of solitary bees is quite a good idea. Maybe even a good commercial idea as well. But of course there are some bumblebee breeders in Poland as well. Well known. But the diversity of solitary bees is quite large. So it's quite interesting to breed different species. But parasitoids are very essential. Parasitoids are very difficult problem for solitary bees. Torimides, parasitic wasp. Monodontamerus is very important. I showed Monodontamerus in my last video. Big parasitoid, 5-6 mm size, with long ovipositor. And tiny parasitoid, Melitobia, is very essential. And also some dipteroflies, very dangerous parasitoid for solitary bees. So, not breeding solitary bees is not easy for commercial purpose, because sometimes parasitoids can damage your production quite heavily. But thank you for questions. Oh, well, good question about honeybee in greenhouse. Actually, that's normal and a very good question. Yes, sometimes honeybees are used for pollination in beehouses for pollinating tomatoes, cucumbers, pepper, and other crops. But honeybees don't like very much to be in closed space like greenhouses, because in greenhouse temperature is high, too much light, so honeybees becoming disorientated. So as disorientated, they become a little bit aggressive. So that's why for greenhouse workers, honeybee can be slightly dangerous. They can sting. But if solitary bees are used in greenhouses, they are very safe. And also bumblebees as well. Bumblebees are very safe for use in greenhouses. And even more efficient, because bumblebees using buzzing pollination. especially for tomatoes. And honeybees don't like too much tomatoes. But for cucumbers, for pepper, for pumpkin, they can be used. Thank you for participation in our stream. We are showing you just our beloved Ukrainian honeybees. We are feeding on honeybee liquid on this filter paper. They are already well fed with honeybee liquid, and some of them we are just exchanging by liquid. This process is called trophallaxis. Exchange by food between insects, exchange by food between honeybees, and these are workers of honeybees. If somebody is coming to our stream as a new viewer, write comment what country are you coming from, because many people are watching translation just only half of a minute. If person can be surprised, can watch more, but some watching very short time. Translation is just shown in for more people usually, but not all people are just watching long period of time. For tomatoes, yes. For tomatoes, not very convenient. Bumblebees are much more effective for tomatoes. But for cucumbers, well done. For cucumbers, it's possible. Flowers are much more convenient. Pumpkin, pepper, maybe some other greenhouse crops. Many greenhouse crops can be used. In China and Japan, many crops are cultivated in greenhouses. Even cherry tree in Japan can be cultivated in greenhouse to receive fresh, earliest cherry fruits. More expensive. Watermelon, melons. Each cultivation and each breeding, each type of technology has some secrets. So bumblebee breeding is possible, not easy as well. Because there are some special secrets of commercial breeding which are not published in patents, in books, in articles, and can be hidden between words. So now I show some honeybees without lid, just with open petri dish. So I took off lid, so you can see better contrast for sure. Stingless bees is possible to breed, but there can be invasive species for Europe. So I have heard that some people introduced stingless bees to Portugal, but this is unofficial information. Maybe if you know some information who tried to use stingless bees, it can be interesting. Write privately to on my email. You can discuss it. I am planning a new video about stingless bees soon. They produce good honey, but they produce honey in tropical region. Of course less honey, but I guess maybe quality is absolutely fantastic, because once I tried Brazilian honey on Apimondi beekeeping conference, and it tasted absolutely fantastic. Honeybee collected in jungles, on natural flowers of jungles. Taste, smell was absolutely fantastic. So that's why quality, smell and taste of honey from stingless bees can be absolutely interesting and unique. Nowadays, I mean, Asian stingless bees can be invasive if you are trying to introduce them to Europe. It can be invasive. If you will be the first, or not the first, the second or someone who can try to introduce these stingless bees to Europe, this will be a little bit in unofficial way, because it's not permitted to bring new species to your country. If you are in Europe, if you are just beekeeper somewhere in Malaysia, of course you can use local stingless bees, or Indonesia. Now some sounds coming from the street, sounds of siren. There was a sign on my telephone about air alert, about possible missiles attack, about possible drones attack. Situation in Ukraine is still a little bit difficult, or very much difficult. We don't know what's going on. Only official information, which is promising and also unpromising as well. But drones are flying, and our defense militaries are fighting very well against them. So I believe in our military forces who are protecting us from other dangerous people in northern territories. Kyle, are you from Poland? I'm sure. So that's why if you come to Malaysia, you can collect some stingless bees in slightly cold place, like in mountain place. You can introduce them for a short period of time to home. They can survive maybe in a greenhouse, but they will not survive outside, because they're still tropical species, semi-tropical species. But in conditions maybe somewhere in Spain, or even in Portugal, in some warm places in Portugal, they can survive even outside naturally. And in the case if they survive in natural conditions, they can be introduced invasive species, new species for Europe. So it's slightly illegal activity. But I heard that some people, one person in Portugal try to do it. There are some experiments about introduction of stingless bees was done, for example, by Japanese people. Japanese scientists introduced some stingless bees to Japan, 6 or 7 or 5 species, but we use them just precisely only inside the greenhouses. We didn't release stingless bees because, again, can be new introduced species, and we use stingless bees not from Japan but somewhere from Indonesia, I guess so, as I remember from one old publication. But such experiments quite interesting, because I know one beekeeper who was my follower some years ago asked me, is it possible to introduce stingless bees to some places in Europe? I said, yes, it's possible, but not easy. Thank you for your interest and curiosity. Thank you for coming to our channel. Thank you for subscription. If you are not subscribed yet, press on button subscribe. We appreciate newcomers, new subscribers who is interested in insects, who is interested in honeybees, in bumblebees, in beekeeping, in Ukraine and in your own country. If you want to be our sponsor, welcome to be sponsor on our Patreon page, here on YouTube. Welcome to visit Monobank to become sponsors. New videos are coming soon. New videos I produced today in apiary will be uploaded today and will be shown today or tomorrow, directly from apiary near Kyiv. We will be talking about the new technology of breeding honeybees in Ukraine, about new beehives. Welcome to check my channel about beekeeping stories, beekeeping lectures. And thank you for coming. For people from friendly countries, thank you for comments and questions. And don't forget, stand with Ukraine. Don't forget, support Ukraine. Don't forget, help Ukraine. And Ukraine forever. See you soon in next stream. Bye bye.